Well, it's been another week of training for this 67-year-old marathoner who is aiming to run a sub 3 hour and 30-minute marathon. And as you can see, we've had a bit of snow here in New Hampshire and New England. This week started out as a week where things started to go really well, and was looking forward to having a great week of training. I took Monday off after a Sunday race, and Tuesday I was back down on Cape Cod, and it was cold and windy, and I decided to do a loop run there, starting off by the ocean. And first, it's a 2.5 mile loop. I figured I'd do at least 2 of those. We'll see how it went, because due to the temperatures and wind. However, I was running really fast, and for me, and I did 1 loop, 2 loops, decided to do 1 more, and eventually did a 4th loop for a total of 10 miles, probably my best run of the year so far, with a steady pace of 8 minutes and 32 seconds per mile. So I was really happy with that workout, particularly because Thursday I planned to do a longer run of at least 15 miles. The next day I felt a little bit off, and Thursday when I was ready for my next run, I just couldn't get out the door. Things didn't feel right. Same with the day after that. And yeah, I found out I had come down with a cold, so I didn't have any more runs that week. I started feeling better over the weekend. Sunday I put in 1 hour on my ARC trainer, so that is all of the training that I did last week. It's okay. As you'll see, today I want to outline a bit of my marathon training philosophy. I ran my first marathon in 1977, and I've run 51 marathons. So I have a lot of experience, but maybe not the experience you expect. So here is my marathon training philosophy with all that experience that I've had as a runner. And it is this: I have never specifically trained or carried out a training plan for any of the marathons that I have run. When I ran my first one in 1977, I had just finished my freshman cross-country season at college, and we took a trip down to Dallas, Texas from Chicago area, and to run the White Rock Marathon. My only training at the end of the cross-country season was to do my longest run ever, which was 1 16-miler, and that was it. And it's probably why I didn't do too well near the end of that marathon. But since then, I've enjoyed doing marathons. I just run the way I feel. I'll do races a week before a marathon. Multiple times I did a marathon 2 weeks after a marathon. And in fact, I've done multiple times 3 marathons in 5 weeks, including a half marathon in there too. So I have good endurance, maybe not good enough marathon speed, but I run the way I feel. Found probably the best training I ever did for a marathon with some type of plan was last year before the Boston Marathon, when I was coming off a broken metatarsal. Started training in January, and I wasn't getting much training in. My feet were sore, my feet were hurting. Older, I can't run every day. Finally, I decided I got to do a long run. I did an 18-miler. A week after that, I did 26.2 miles to make sure I could do the distance. I was mentally ready. I knew I could do Boston then. And then the week after that, 20 miles. And the week after that, another 20 hilly miles. And at that point, I felt trained and good enough to do Boston. And I did Boston more as a fun run than to race it. And I did 4 hours and 3 minutes last year, and just going, enjoying the atmosphere of the race. And I felt great the whole way. I didn't really have a slowdown. And so that type of training worked for me. So how am I training this year? I think my philosophy going into the year was knowing I needed to get a little more harder runs in. And I specifically wanted to run a little faster on my training runs and not as many of them, since I have to take a day off after every run, basically, to recover. So that is going really well. I'm running 1 minute to 1.5 minutes faster than I was in training in the previous year, and enjoying it. I guess you could call it like brute force training. Just run hard when you run and expect the best for the race. I think a better way to term the way I run is just to trust yourself as you run. I have enough knowledge, I have enough experience, my body knows what it's doing. I cannot put in 50, 60, 70-mile weeks anymore. So I just have to trust that my body will tell me what it needs to do, when to speed up, when to go longer, or when to back off in my training, and to take days off. I think that worked last year, and that's what I'm going for this year, except I'm trying to work a little harder on the hard runs, and I feel a whole lot better. I think the big addition for me has been the arc trainer. That keeps me moving on the days I don't run, and I think that's really helped my strength, cadence, and endurance for the runs that I do. So I don't really worry about what I'm doing, just as long as I get a few key workouts in before the race. So I'm looking forward to my first marathon in April, at the beginning of April, and we'll see how far I come along at that point with a training plan. As you can see, we've had more snow this weekend. The running is a little bit rough, and so I'm resorting to the treadmill for the upcoming week for the days that I can't get outside and run. The roads are a little sloppy. So the training is going on. That 3:30 goal is still a good goal that I have in mind, and looking forward to a good week of cold running this week in New England.